Hey guys, I'm back. I missed a few days. I'm gonna have to do some catching up, but I'm starting back at day 13. It's November 15th right now, so I'll be doing some more live streams. Probably a multiple, maybe two today or two tomorrow. We'll see how this one goes. And so I'm gonna make this castle because the theme is medieval, and so this is a castle in England called Bodiam, where I've never been, and kind of pulled this off the internet, but I thought it looked cool and kind of a simple enough setup to cover it in a live stream. So I'm going to go into rendered view, and I'm going to try a different approach for this, maybe. Yeah, so let's try doing with, instead of displacement, I'm going to use volumetrics. And what that does is, it's like spatial shading. So instead of using surface, we use volume. So it's kind of like a 3D texture, the space inside of the material. And you can control the density. So I'll plug everything into density, and then, so areas with zero density will be totally clear, and then areas without total density will be opaque. This is kind of a weird, limited way to do it that I haven't seen in a lot of places. Oh, and let's actually get the chat in here. So I have my live stream set up right here, pop out chat, just so I can see that you guys are talking. So just see if anybody joins the chat. So join now. Yeah, so I have these castles, and yeah, so you can see this volumetrics. It's not kind of pixelated right now because we could turn up the detail. I think if in the properties panel under render properties, change volumetrics tile size to the largest, I think. And 64 samples. The jitters, each of those is an image of the sample. So just to visualize, if we plugged noise in the density and used a sharp line, like from greater than node, so we get this texture, and this turns it into this, and then finally we'll get that sharp texture. So that's pretty pixelated. Let's light. Let's see. I'm kind of just trying this new thing out. Like I haven't prepared this before, but so let's just look through this and figure it out together. Let's see. So 2 pixels actually gives you more definition. Okay, I think. Yeah. Oh yeah, because yeah. So smaller numbers are better. So I'm going to start with a square. I'm going to use the object coordinates, because if I look at this, you see on the top, we can quickly get a square with separate x, y, z, and then I'm going to use a math node called smooth minimum. And this an object, the coordinate system uses, this is like a position, but it's shown as a color, so this is the x-axis. You can tell the red is the same as like right here, so this also marks where the axes are, so y is green, x is red, z is blue. And so we can separate that, and we get these gradients right here. If I look at this xyz node, and if I mirror these, we can see how it's reflected on both sides. So we're going to use 2 gradients, so I'm combining x and y to get that, and I'm going to use that to make the overall shape of the castle. So actually we're going to use smooth maximum, so that gives a kind of a different result. And to control the size and the fall off, we can use color burn, and set it to black, and so this will control the size of the square. And then if I use another one, but change this to instead a color dodge. And I'm changing that fast and pulling things up really quick, just with when I press Shift A to add something, and the first letter is underlined, so I can quickly just go through menus. So CB will bring me brightness contrast node. Shift A CB. And if I just take the time to do that once, I just over time sort of remember to do that quickly. And the more you use something, the quicker it is to use it, as you know. And yeah, in color dodge, we want to change this to white, and you'll notice that this changes the sharpness. But I'm going to actually keep them like that. And we're going to use a gradient for this, because we're masking out from this. So if I have this value, I'll make that a sharp value, so we know it's going to be concrete. It'll make more sense if we plug it into this density right here, and we just take this viewer out. Surface, there's no, if we don't have surface detail, we can see inside of it. So right here we can see there's actually like a fog of that space. Maybe we can increase the color. Or, is there a opacity? Emission will, but we want this to be totally black. Maybe it's use a color ramp. Let's see, constant. Yeah, and yeah. So if we take this out, so we're still getting mist there. Yeah, I think what we want. Maybe if we cast a light here, we'll see much better. So there's that. Render settings for volumetrics. So that's a little sharper. And that's blurry. Yep. Yeah, and if we increase this to 256, which is the maximum, we're getting a better preview. Volumetrics are typically oh, got disconnected. Okay, but we're back. Cool. Volumetrics when you're using the ray tracing renderer or cycles, which you use in film, where EV is more similar to games. The rendering this really slows down your render time, because if you look, it takes a while for it to be adequately smooth. Yeah. Maybe it would have been more clickbaity if I said Cloud Castle instead. Sounds kind of cool. I want this to emanate from the base of this. So in this case, I'm going to use generated coordinates. Whereas I could use the object coordinates and just shift things down and remove the reflection. Yeah, maybe I'll just do that. So NA add. So sampling this. Yeah, that's not useful. So if I'm going to use generated. Oh, and let's turn on the hotkeys right here so you can see what I'm doing. Control Shift to cycle through these inputs to view them over here. Yeah, so with generated, I can I just saved it real quick. I can use another separate XYZ. So Shift to copy that over, and use on the Z-axis. We can control that and use it to. If we multiply it by this, that will just multiply, makes things darker. So if I combine this here, it's playing this volume. I'll detach this so we can see what we're doing. Right now, I think it should be fading as it goes towards the bottom. And oh yeah, but we need to set this to multiply and turn this all the way up. So now we see that fade. So we can control that with the color ramp right here. And yeah, oh, this is fun. Yeah, I mean, just I haven't used it quite like this before. Yeah, and then maybe we can make this inner more so we have more to work with on the borders. So right, we can use another one of these. So eventually, so this is the inner part of the square. If I, interesting. Okay, so right now, if I'm at, so here's the gradient. Oh, right. Oh, that's an interesting, tricky thing because we can't just Control Shift to sample things like I normally would, because it goes to surface but not volumetrics. So yeah, we're gonna have to do some extra work for that. I think, if I, so that's what color does. Let's use that. We need, yeah, I was hoping for that gradient, so we turn that all the way down. And let's see. So we know we want, yeah, we want an inner space there. We can make this inner part quite a bit wider. Because we want enough room for these circles on the borders. Yeah, so there we can see what that looks like, and I'm gonna bring that height down right there. This is so different. I only even thought about this, so it's funny to do this in this way using volumetrics. I suppose I could start to let's use this gradient again and try to use it to get the trying to mask out. So on the top of this we can add so I'm gonna copy this gradient. We have to be careful not to change this one because I'm gonna use this to make the turrets. Yeah, so if I plug this in here and bring this one over here. Oh. So we can compare these. Let's hope they still sit on top of each other. If I did it correctly. Okay, yeah, that'll be good. And I guess we can just use a we'll use two wave textures, and normally I'd use a checker texture, but we can't make the checker texture would just make the width even for each of these, right? It's all square, but it's narrower in the openings between the turrets. Yeah, so multiply, so if we sample that, bring that over here. Let's just use object coordinates for this, so it rotates around the middle. Because we're gonna rotate this one. Vector rotate node and z-axis. And turn this up so we can see both of them. So 90 degrees. It's a right angle, and yeah, let's use a greater than node because you want a sharp value. So there's no gradient between them. That's what that does. And if we, and it's round because I think sine is a curvy wave. If we change that to triangle, we should get a sharp edge, I think. Let's see if I'm right. I could be wrong. Well, that's no. Oh, let's try Shift S to switch the type of node. So I'm going to change it to a math node. And let's use smooth maximum. Yes. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Yeah, so distance adjusts as how smooth it is, which can be kind of handy, but we're not using in this case. Yeah, so we'll try that. And yeah, so if I this turret, this is a mask over for what that's going to be added to. Oh, let's delete those. So we can use another mix node, change it to add. So multiply stretches things out. You know, darker things become darker, and then, you know, lighter things come up. And then, but adding just shift things up. So if you're just putting something on top of something, add is perfect for that. And I think, no, oh, because it's volumetrics. I mean, might have. I think we're gonna have to use a mix shader, and mask it out again with the z value. So if we look at this one, we just need a value that's slightly higher than this. It's really it's going to be something. It's going to be whatever is above this, and then we'll have another slider that cuts it off again. This is uncharted territory for me. And then yeah, so we can mix, but we use the mix shader using this factor. Change it to mix, it's color, and then so we have this pattern, and we just want to add it in that special Z area. Oh yes, this should be in the factor, because that's how much it's going to be mixed. And then this up here will yeah, go there. Oh, yeah, and then to see what we're doing, let's disconnect surface. So we want to see how this is affecting it. And turrets probably aren't showing it in the right places, my guess, right now. So get closer maybe, and then let the samples do their thing. I mean, this is as many samples as we're going to get, so yeah, not really showing up there. Of course, this needs to be plugged in here. And okay, yeah, so what's wrong about this part? I think so. Right now, this is that pattern just flatly going through there, so that doesn't quite work. Alright, so mask out the top where this ends. So if I just copy this position, that's where the white will start. I'll just need another node anywhere below it. That since this is set to constant, anywhere below this will be the same value for this area. And okay, and then yeah, so this should also be multiplied by this mask that we made. So that's the outer edges of the balcony, or yeah. Interesting. Oh yeah, so if we multiply this, yeah, so that now we have this. Yeah, this is better, right? So we can adjust this height. This is clearly way too tall for a turret. So let's bring that down. And yeah, so it's, we can turn that down. Hey, welcome, homogeneous blaze. Oh, whoa, humongous blaze, excuse me. Yeah, I'm doing some experimental node stuff right here, just seeing if I can make a castle using volumetrics. In all of my past, well, most of my past videos, I've been using displacement to make the 3D objects, but I thought this would be an interesting, different thing to explore. So yeah, hope you find it interesting. I probably won't be doing this again for the just for the sheer challenge and then result, and you can't really get a texture from it. But yeah, so let's excuse me. So this will be the top of that, and we can yep, and then yeah, feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, and then so for let's do the towers next. Sounds very interesting. Great, glad to hear it. Thanks for letting me know. So if I use object mode, so absolute mirrors things on all of these axes, and I'm going to do that twice. So after I shift over these values, now this is a new coordinate system, so I shift that over into the corners. So and I think, yeah, and it should be negative, so because absolute mirrors things because it makes negative things positive and positive things stay positive. So that's why we're getting this mirrored gradient right here for this position, because the color corresponds to the position. And yeah, so we'll set, I'm not going to bother messing with this one, so I won't shift that over. I'll keep that at 0. And yeah, so let's make these both -6, because I want all the turrets to be at an even place. Eventually we'll just make it match up with this, and then that's how we'll position it. But if I use another absolute value, we should get another mirroring. Yeah, so now we have the center. This is 0, 0 right here. And yeah, so we can, with the gradient texture, we can use this, and it takes that position and it makes a sphere at 0, 0. So right here we should get, oh, we have a sphere right there. Interesting. Let's work with that. Well, first of all, let's use another math node, multiply, which is kind of like scaling it, except it's equal on all parts. So if this part's scaled by 0, we get a cylinder, because that sphere, we have this circle from the middle of it, and it's just stretched out infinitely. So that's an infinite cylinder, kind of. And we'll cut that out the same way we did with the square that we made. And yeah, so if I bring all this down here, let's just shift that down. And yeah, let's unplug surface so again we can see what we're doing with the volumetrics. And so there's our little castle. And yeah, and now that we have these 3 cylinders, yeah, and again we can't really sample like usually if I'm sampling a surface I use Control-Shift-Click, and we can use that to see what the spheres are doing. But oh yeah, here's what happened, that got disconnected somehow. Yeah, and then so if to mask that out again, I use a greater than node. So greater than makes things above 0.5, this threshold, 1, and things below it 0, or also just shown as black and white. And yeah, so I think let's try this size. and see how that looks. Okay, so we have surface right here, and we're going to combine it with this. So I think we'll use this as a mix shader. In this case, so this will control how much it shades, and how as we saw it, yeah, it was that color. So we can control the height right here. If it changes to white, that'll make sure that it totally fades. If it's black, it won't. It'll do the opposite and remove that area. So that's kind of cool. It's like Booleans, but with volumetrics. Cool. Yeah. It's all new for me, so it's cool. And then, yes, we'll do a similar thing well, pretty much the same thing that we did right here. So I'm going to multiply this and plug color in here. And now this will be, because this color ramp, we'll set this to multiply, so black becomes black, and then, so this is good for removing stuff. So now it's the same height as this. If we look at this drawing, the towers are quite a bit higher than that walkway. Yeah, so we can bring this up just like that. Of course, just like this part, notice that, I mean, it doesn't show up so much because it's volumetrics, but I made these little turrets here, and we can do the same for this. But notice the turrets right here, I made masking out with a grid. If I look up here, or okay, combine them as this, and then I put them through greater than, and yeah. So because it's radial, we can do that. We have a way of making those turrets. I'm going to show you how to do that. I did a similar thing to create this in one of my earlier video live streams on making chocolates. Yeah, you can't texture forms, but you can color it. That's a good point. Yeah, I guess I could, make the rooftop. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll try to do that. Thanks for the good question. Yeah, that's gonna make this look somewhat more presentable. Yeah. It's top view. Let's quickly adjust this right here. So it's positioned in the middle, and then actually this gradient texture, we can just so to create the radial texture, just like we did with the sphere. This is what the sphere looks like at this point, and then radial, I think, yeah. So that this is mirrored, but it creates a radial array from that point. It's probably easier to see if I put something like this greater than node, and so we can see the range. Yeah, and yeah. So maybe I could, on a whim, let's just try plugging a wave texture into it. Okay, yeah, that's good. That'll do it. And I've tried doing it exactly like that. I did it in a slightly different way, using more math nodes previously, using a modulo and a multiply node to repeat the gradient over and over again. But yeah, this works nicely, and in less nodes saves me time. But maybe spending me more time just talking about it. But it's nice to share with you guys. And so the white part is going to be the turrets, and then the absence is going to, so I'm going to make the darker part thinner. And yeah, so if I multiply this, so this is the sphere, this is the cylinder right here. that we combine in this texture, and we can't see it because it's a volumetric. It's kind of hoping, but I guess the sphere is in a different position. It's 3D, so it's kind of weird to work with. Cloud Castle, yeah. Wouldn't that make a better thumbnail title? I always make the thumbnails before this, and I always like just use whatever I'm using as reference for the image, so it looks like really great. And I'm like, it's kind of clickbaity. I don't mean to be clickbaity, but yeah. So that's like, what else can I put if it's a live stream and I'm making it? There's not much else I can show, So, let's see. Yeah. So let's add those turrets. You can, yeah. Let's see. So I have this, and then we want the inner part of this, which will be smaller than that. Again, you have to keep removing that surface because there are, even Node Wrangler isn't made for making volumetrics like this. Yeah. So we want to bring the height up, and we want to mask out the center of it as well. So we already have the sphere here, so we can use that. And we just know it's going to be smaller. So right now I'm just going to have to do it blind and take my best guess. So this is multiply, and curious if does it just. Oh no, this is the height, and this is the greater than. Okay, yeah. See, it's so much easier when you can see things, but yeah. So right now we have this. What would happen if I used to add? Oh yeah, I would just lighten it so it wouldn't shift things because it's not controlling the vector, and there's no gradient to work with to cut it off. But yeah, that's fine. I'll just use another one of these. Just wanted to see if that was possible. Good for you guys to see as well, maybe. And yeah, and like I was saying, it has to come from the gradient texture because this is just black and white. There's no gradient. And because this is threshold is 0.83, maybe I'll make it like 0.7. Yeah, and I think I might have to add thickness to these turrets even to show up. So yeah, I'll be tweaking some things. And yeah, so that should be good. If I well, let's see, if I plug this in, maybe I'll just use the color ramp so I have more control because we want the outer and the inner. This is just going to sit on top of it. I'm not going to cut into this one. Maybe I can. Oh yeah, let's just yeah, let's we're doing it a little differently for this one, just a slightly different method. So I'm gonna cut it out of this one. So just use multiply, and yeah, multiply, and yeah. So if this is in here, you'll note, and then we can see the volumetrics for that. Disconnect that again. Again, I'm doing this in a very dumb way. And then, yeah, I mean, being curious isn't, that part isn't dumb, so, yeah, if it's clear to see if from the top view, like, that this, the turret pattern is coming through, but we just need to control that a little bit better, so it's not going all the way through, and again, we're using the Z height for that. Now we're going to get a fade from the bottom to top, I think, because the way the Z gradient is. And yeah, to mess that out, we want it to be above this. So this will be white. Oh. So make this black. I'm going to add another one. Bring it over. You can do this in shorter steps if you just know ahead of time what you're going to do. Wait, this one should be black, and then this one will be white. In this case, I think. Oh, but the Z gradient cuts off over there. Okay, sorry. So I do have to mix it over in that area. So let's reconnect that. And so we have this mix. Right now it's either or, right? So let's try a screen. I think that'll just combine the two, right? Yeah. Turn that all the way up. That just brings up the white. It's kind of the opposite of the effect that multiply has as a mix setting. And yeah. Okay, so let's mask this out again. Yeah, so with gradient texture, this is 0.83. This and that'll be just the same as on this. If I use constant and set this to 0.83, and then make and make this pi so it's a nice even number. It's another tip. It's kind of weird, but it's based on a sine wave, and that's kind of why it's that number. Yeah, I guess I could change it afterwards. Not a bad idea. Then I have to do, yeah. It'll take a bit of time now, but yeah. Hey, Kaj, welcome back. Or Kaj, yeah. So this is the value I have right here, and then so this is bigger and this is smaller. So need to cut out the area in between there. Yeah, so we have that turret right there, and then yeah. So let's disconnect this again. Again, this is a dumb way of doing this. And then yeah. So let's mask that in using the Z position. Yeah, you guys are all doing well. Good to have you all for this chat. Feel free to ask any questions or comments. Yeah, so right now we're getting it all the way to the top, and that's because we need to mask it out with the Z position. So again, if you look at this cube, it's this gradient going from the bottom. So if I were to plug this in to the mix shader, you'd get a fade from top to bottom. Well, switching from one of these to the other in this case. So yeah, and so yeah, I'm going to use another greater than node to make that a sharp difference. Forget that. And then 0.83 was it for the height? No, that was a different value. So the top of this turret. So this is the turret, and these. I mean, this is the tower, and this position is 0.306. So it just needs to be a little bit higher than that. And make it greater than, yeah. Okay, yeah, so we need, okay, yeah, so let's use greater than, yeah, and that was 0.306, and then we're going to multiply this one, so it's going to be a range in between. So this is an alternative to using the color ramp. If you were to plug in values into stuff, these are more handy because you can't plug in position values directly into this. There's only one socket, and that's just the value that you're working with before you use it. So, so if you wanted to control multiple positions and put it all into group node, it wouldn't quite work. And yeah, so we'll use this. We'll change this to less than, and And again, I'm doing that quick because I've just taken the time to, when I do this, just like, oh, X is underlined, so I can just go over this and press X, you know? So, and sometimes when you copy things and then press escape, it keeps the node. And so, yeah, just make sure you don't have stuff overlapping. If stuff doesn't make sense, that might be why. So, yeah, I think right now, these are both 0.306, so can raise that a bit. So now we have the turrets, and yeah, so I guess we can try making this peaked roof in the back. That's gonna be interesting. Oof, how do we do that? Okay, so let's, I know how to make a diagonal line, so yeah, we can do this. We can reuse what we had for the, to make the base, this rectangle, or square. It is a perfect square, yeah, which is a type of rectangle. Why? Yeah, thanks for you're welcome for the geometry lesson. Just kind of thinking out loud, and just, yeah, a little slow. So, if I copy this, Control-Shift-D, so it still has this input for the position, so we have a gradient to work with. So we have this here. Let's make that, decrease that, so we have this whole gradient to work with. And yeah, so let's position and scale it so that's in the back. Just use this, and notice if I move this in the Y position, or let's reset this position, so I want this to be the back. So if I shift this up, yeah, and then change that, so it's kind of affecting that gradient right there. Cool. Well, you know what? I think we're going to want to create a separate branch for this, so let's replace that right here. Plug this in. Because it's what's happening here is it's reflecting after I've already reflected the coordinates. So we want to do this transformation before I mirror to make that. I guess we can also just make this a group node, so it's just easier to pick up and move around. I'm not going to be making a lot of changes with that, so and that'll be great to reuse. And when you have this, the inputs and outputs are instanced, so it takes up less space. Reusing this, if you're reusing the same node setup, you know, in the same way that if I copy this with Alt-D and edit it, you know, they do the same thing. So yeah. So that saves space and makes your life easier. Yeah, I guess I could name it cube. Yeah, and then yeah, so let's shift it back. So that's a negative value, negative on the Y. And then yeah, scale it in. Notice it's scaling while changing the position. So if I change texture, it'll scale from that point, or at least it should. I'd expect it to. 1. Let's bring that back to 1. See how it behaves. Yeah. And yeah, bring it back over there. There's a that's a new modifier in with OpenVDB. I've heard about that. I haven't used it yet, but yeah, it looks super cool. It's a pretty new thing, right? Because this is part of like the Nodevember challenge. I'm not looking to do this the best way, you know, but I like, you know, it's just doing it with nodes. But yeah, that'd be cool to check out. Just to create the same effects. That'd be funny to just like, if I at the very end just see how quickly I could recreate all of these in like a smarter way. Yeah, but I think, yeah, I mean, I guess there's value in like learning how to do all these things and just increasing, getting more control on stuff. But this is really just a challenge, yeah, this channel is pretty young so far. So yeah, I'm hoping to cover more different topics in the future. Yeah. So yeah, here I have a rectangle, and let's mix it at the end. Yeah, but I like that you brought that up, because it's pretty cool what you can do with that. Yep, and then disconnect the surface again. Yeah, so it's kind of funny. This is kind of like an illustration of what you would maybe have to do if you didn't have that modifier. I guess I could still like have a cube. A cube, and then scale it in, and then put my 3D cursor there. Make a circle, scale it in. Extrude that, and then mirror modifier over 2 axes, put it there, and then inset this, select this, check or deselect, extrude that, edit mode. Let's go to wireframe because I'm actually going to inset both these bottoms. So inset that, bridge edge loops, loop cut right here, bevel, and then I guess I forgot to add these turrets right there. So if I just hold on Control Z, so it goes all the way through, so we have a nice loop going all the way across, and then holding on Control makes it go through there. Or I guess I pressed Z maybe too many times. And so yeah, let's try it again. Z, Control, so holding on Control makes sure it goes through the center. And yes, that goes through, and now I can bevel each individual one here. But let's change the profile. Actually, I like that it's even for each of these when it's running in there. But yeah, so that's good. And because this is one object, Shift G, select by the normals, and then Control Shift there, and then checker deselect. Mesh objects have no active vertex face. Oh yeah, so I just need to select one of these. Yeah. Check deselect. Oh, we need a starting point, so I guess we'll just to connect those. Now I can do both of those. That's not very smart. And then bring that in the front. Yeah, you can tell. Yeah, it's maybe a different kind of fun just modeling. We'll separate that. So we can. I'm kind of going on a tangent here, getting into it. And then yeah, just scale from the bottom, just because I'm scaling from the 3D cursor right there. So select all this, click on the bottom, so it scales from there. And right there, it's not totally centered. I can fix that position if I go to item, and then it's on the x-axis. So change that to 0. It might be relative to the object. Yeah, okay. And then yeah, I could change that profile. I mean, yeah, it may be better if I just drew out the bottom and then extruded that. Yeah, could just do this, E, Alt S, above the sides. Clearly the proportions aren't totally right here, just kind of mocking up those different features. And then let's subdivide it so we have enough on the edge to work with. And, well, let's let's do that. Actually, first let's inset it, select the top, Shift G, select the top normals, right there, so we have the edge. And if I subdivide it now, and we can, because I have that inset, we can select this loop, which is really convenient. So grow that selection, and then, okay, and then I guess I don't want this extra loop right there. Yeah, and again, you know, extrude, well, no, check or deselect, and then extrude. It's kind of funky, towers, but yeah, that's fast modeling, right? And then we could just, we could link these objects, but I'll just start with a new one, and go to render view, just delete this. So shaders, which one's volume? Volume scatter. I think it's principled volume. Yeah. Okay. And then so Shift H V. We can do that faster next time. And yeah, we can link these materials. Control M, Control L, and then M for material. And yeah, so that's weird. It's not giving the. Maybe I can just clone this material. So yeah, so now that part has that material, but I'm gonna make a copy of that new instance of it, or not instance. Yeah, just a copy of it. Cut out all this stuff. Get over. That's good stuff. Thanks. Yeah, so that would, oh, oh yeah, so let's link these materials. And yeah, so that would be if you were to do it a more efficient way, but we're just doing this. So, let's adjust the size of this. Instead of bothering with the color ramp, we can just position it here. So just bring that in there, and then bring that in there. And then mask it out on the Z-axis. So just multiply again, right? So that just we'll use that to cut it off. We're using this, so yeah, Shift right click Control helps you to do that, to keep it separate from that point. Yeah, that's helpful if you were to put something in between there. I guess I was just sort of organizing that output, keeping away from X and Y, so I don't accidentally pull that. Yeah, so NA add greater than and multiply is sharp line. Yeah, we see it's doing the opposite of what we want, so let's change it to less than instead. So that's the opposite of cutting. Opposite of greater than is less than. Go figure, right? And yeah, so we're getting that in the back. Maybe I'll just do the same thing in the front, and maybe call it, because we're not really gonna get details. I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to see how we can do a peaked roof. Let's see. Yeah, let's see if that's possible. I'm just gonna. I'll do my best on that. I think I'm gonna call it for this project, and then I'll see what I can do to get to the next one, because I might have to do multiple streams a day to catch up, since I'm a few days behind. If you notice, this is day 13, and it's the 15th. I was a little busy this weekend, so yeah. If I, how do I do this? So Okay, so to create a diagonal, we can add these coordinates together, so like x plus, or subtract x and y. We want this along y and z, I think. Yeah, so along this way and up this way. So if I use subtract y and z, and then again we're going to use, yeah, so we're getting a diagonal right there. And this is mirrored, right, because this absolute value right here, so -1 because positive again. So yeah, so now we have this, and we could maybe we can mirror this part. Let's see. Let's try. What would happen if I choose to add? If we get that. Okay, so yeah, let's use that. If I shift this over somehow, maybe Control Shift D, so it's still, yeah, still connected there. Let's just redo these inputs, and then I'm going to give this its own plugin right there. Yeah, I guess, yeah, didn't need that. And I'm gonna mirror this over the y-axis. So what do we do? I might have to just feel this out if I can't conceptualize it. Okay, -0.5. Let's mirror it in the middle of it. Is that so? From the side view, it starts right there. Yeah, and then we'll shift it over again over here. So we'll add 0.5 instead of adding a -0.5 right there. What did that do? Oh, yeah, okay. We need to, yeah, keep it all in here because before we combine these two values. So 0.5, and then put an absolute value in between. Let's see, hope this works. Okay, so I think we're on the right track. Yeah, so if we shift the z value, let's see how this looks. So this keeps going. Yeah, this keeps being black. And so let's try inverting in that. So change this to subtract, bring it down, and so -1, that's a way to invert it. So now we have that peak there. Okay, yes, this is it. So this is a bit disorganized. Maybe we can spread this out a little. Just bring this all down. And I could have just brought this up as a little smaller, right? And then with this here, let's use a greater than node. And let's just make it as close to 0 as possible. See what happens if we make it 0. Okay, cool. And then, excuse me. Let's just yeah, we'll combine that here. Let's pull this out again of the surface so we can see the volumetrics take effect. So we're going to use this to cut off the top right here. So yeah, basically we just need to replace what we used when we used the z coordinate to cut it out. I think we're using it here. Yeah, this less than in the z coordinate. Yeah, so if I plug this in here. Okay, yeah, so we're getting the opposite of what we want. So let's cut that out there. And then looks like we'll have to shift this position over again. This adds more. I think the more shapes you add, I mean, except when you add too many shapes. But yeah, this is looking a lot better, I think. Yeah, we could. I don't want to. I could shift it over using these. Kind of. It's probably fine, but I don't really want to mess with that. So I'm just gonna. I'd probably, yeah. Let's see. I could adjust the second one of these. I don't know. And then, but yeah. So this is on the y-axis, right? So let's bring that back. And yeah, we can basically just use this to control all of it. So just like that. So that's nice. And then we have this moat in the front. Yeah, I might just copy all of this over. So Control Shift D, and then and then again in this case it's a flat top, so let's just use what we originally had for this part. So multiply it by this, which if you remember it's from this Z position right here, separate X, Y, Z. So yeah, and this is black because again we're surface input is plugged in there. We're not getting anything right here because this is in the same position right there. Oh, and we haven't combined it yet, so let's combine it just with the screen node, so that makes the white stuff white and the dark stuff disappear, maybe. Yeah, so we'll just adjust the position there. There it is. Goes castle. Yeah. And then we can, yeah. Normally I guess I see one rectangle, two rectangles, three right. So there's four parts that make up this shape, it seems. I think for presentation I might just cut out from the front. So let's try doing that, and then there's that peak right there. Should I? Let's, yeah, one thing at a time. Let's start with this, and then yeah. So let's to cut that out, we're going to use multiply. I'll just put that at the end here, so make sure it all happens. I guess I could darken it over here as well. And yeah, and then well, yeah, let's keep Control X to dissolve while keeping connections. So if I plug this, multiply it in here to cut it out, and then so we're getting something like this. Yeah, so let's flip that, and I'm just going to adjust it with the position here just to get that. And then yeah, so there's a subtle little thing there. Like I mean, it's so faint you hardly notice the corners there unless you go from top view. And then, oh yeah, there are these two towers here. Oh, almost missed that. So let's yeah, that won't be so bad. Let's just add that. So if I, yeah, but I'm not adding the details on the top. I guess I've shown you how to do that, so you could theoretically do that. We're getting the shape. Yeah, but to do that, I am going to what am I doing? I'm going to... Did I already copy this? I forget. Let's move this around. Okay, so there's something here. If I go from a side view, do I see something different? Yeah, so yeah, I copied this again. So we had the score from the front, back, and then we, like, where is this even plugged in? Oh yes, so we multiply there, so it is cutting out the, oh yeah, right, that's the rectangle, so let's fix that. Just, and then, yeah, so let's copy all this. I want to mirror over the middle, so yeah, I was playing around with that. Mr. Manly Guy, but, and like you'd think right here I think the density is at all like sharp values. If I look at the, well, no, we can't see it. Mix value, because it's all, you know, this is the outer shell, so I can't really see, but like these should all be sharp values. If we trace them all back, they're connected to, well, that should be a sharp value, but yeah, we're not even, yeah, so like emission, oh yeah, emission could do that. Yeah. We're not getting shadows or the dimensions though, which should be expected, I guess, with volume. So maybe there's a good in between there. Well, I guess, yeah, if I just gonna add a plane at the bottom, and then yeah, shift this over 2 meters, I think. Oh yeah, just 1 actually, so -1. GZ -1 to move it along that axis. It's just kind of a nice quick way to do that. And let's make that plane darker. If I give it material, surface, turn down. Maybe let's make it really big. So, well, yeah, let's make it a little light so if there's a shadow we can see it. I think, yeah, what I haven't turned on is volumetric shadows right here. Yeah. So let's see if that makes a difference. It doesn't appear to. Let me turn that up. Really want to make my computer work hard. Yeah. Then, yeah, you can see in cycles if it looks any better. Okay. It's a little disappointing. Expect it to work. Well, at least it works in one of the render engines. But yeah, you were suggesting, yeah, if I can texture the volume. So let's focus on that now. So if I have a brick texture, brick textures really only work as 2D things. If we look at this cube, right now it's previewing that surface, but I can put it at a 45-degree angle. So if I plug into the objects, yeah, so we have it on the front, and then, yeah, so let's rotate it. I'm used to rotating with the vector mapping node to get in the right position, because we can, and I don't think we can do 3 positions at the same time on the rotation node. So doing it this way, and that's fine in practice if you're just getting things oriented. The rotation node's nice because if you just have, it's easier to plug in the inputs. You could use a combine XYZ if you wanted to take values and plug them into here, because the combine XYZ takes 3 values and then brings them into 1. Remember, so these single values are black and white, and when you bring one black and white channel, if you have 3 of those, you get a color value, which is also what vectors use. Yeah. If hope that was easy to follow. I think I'm, there's a lot of different levels watching. I'm trying to accommodate for everybody, so, you need to explain things to people while also not insulting people's intelligence, Find that good sweet spot. Yeah, and so what was I saying? Yeah, so now that we have this here, notice it'll only work on those two sides. It's objects 3D texture. And then, yeah, so if I put this at a 45, what's wrong here? Let's try texture, no? And then, yeah. Let's just put that back to 0. Okay, yeah, so that's good. 45-degree angle has that. And yeah, so let's try plugging that into the mission. Of course, the bricks are a little bit too big right now. The color too, and I don't even know what it looks like yet. So let's take a look at that. You can see the bricks there. Let's see. So let's try just 15. If it's too dense, I think it's just too hard to read. Yeah, and notice that that jitter there is because it's doing samples, and we set the number of samples in here, so to 256, which is very generous of us. Okay, let's try to make these all as bright as possible. Wow. We should just give it more contrast. Make it darker. Oh, emission color. So this is emission strength. Okay, so that'll be good if we turn its strength up. But then it's maybe just blows it out. Let's see what happens if I make this something obvious, like a color. Yeah. Okay, so the issue right here is that it's volumetric still, and so the textures are made for, well, they can work in 3D coordinates, and I'm kind of cheating it by, like I thought I could cheat a cube by having a diagonal. They just kind of go through here, so maybe that's easier to see if I use the checker texture. Yeah, so it's using, I think in a side view it's easy to see, maybe. What I think is happening is it's still a 2D texture just passing through 3D space. And so, I mean, you're not going to get any nice wrapping like you will on on a 3D model. Like the one, what do we do with that other 3D model? Did I delete it? Wait, let's look at these cubes. Oh, it's right there. G reset position. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Forgot it's in a bunch of pieces, so let's see right here. Great tip if you're prone to making mistakes like I am. Go to System and then Undo Steps. You can turn all the way up to 256. I think the default is like 64. So I think it's worth keeping. So I'm going to parent that, so when now these all will move together, even though they're separate objects. So I'll G bring there. And then why is this so bad? Maybe it's not, volumetric's just not made for cylinders? I would think they are. Okay, well, yeah. Let's at least try to make a good looking castle. Snap to the face so it's actually on the ground. Set the position of that. Let's see. And then yeah, so right there. And then if I want the nice grid. And then, yeah, if I can just select the outer ones with Shift-G-N and select outer boundary. Yeah, select loops, boundary loop, and did I actually? Oh, did I lose it? Oh no. Just cancel Bodiam. Hopefully it auto-saved though, because I didn't save it in between. So 1952. So okay, I lost 9 minutes. This is probably not terrible, but oh yeah, that is terrible. Uh-oh. Well, that's sad. I'm probably gonna not start over, but you guys saw what I made. It happened. I'll probably be sharing these with you guys at some point, so maybe I'll just walk myself through my this live stream again, and yeah, hopefully I'll learn from my mistakes next time, and yeah, save more often. Maybe, yeah, save, yeah. Oh man, it's hard not to you know, yeah. Oh well, not like I was gonna use it for anything, right? So I hope you guys found this really helpful, and yeah, check out my thanks. Yeah, it's fun to experiment. I think that's what live streams should be about. Like, they shouldn't be perfect, but just like opportunity for like learning and conversation, and because yeah, I'd never worked with volumetrics in this way before, so that was a fun exploration, and yeah. And it's always faster. You always do it better the second time it happens. So, am I a little pissed that it happened? Yeah, but yeah. Oh, you know, it's just part of the process of learning. Yeah, that's what it was all for. And yeah, so I'm gonna do more videos on just different stuff in different workflows and texturing, and I'm gonna be trying a bunch of different stuff, and this channel is still pretty new. I've just been doing it for like 2 months, so you know, if you guys have any questions and stuff, like it's in a position right now where I can just quickly you know, comment and give personal advice, and yeah, so you know, feel free to take advantage of that while it still exists. So yeah, have a great night. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Anybody who hasn't commented, thank you, and thank you to Humongous Blaze, Misty Manly Guy, Cadge Art, Michael Nelson, yeah, and yeah. So take care, be safe, and yeah, good luck.